Hey guys, heading off your well, it's Alessio. Welcome to a special lockdown edition of our videos with a quick update for you on the Bitcoin situation. Now, as you probably guessed, the UK is in a national lockdown. I think many countries around the world are in national lockdowns. In the UK, you're allowed to go out for like once a day for an exercise, go for a walk or something like that. So I took that opportunity to come out and just go for a walk here in the woods. Hopefully I won't meet a psychopath here and, something bad happens. But anyway, guys, as I'm sure you probably guessed, it's a crazy period right now. A lot of folks are naturally panicking and are afraid. And let's face it, guys, I myself have been quite worried as well. Again, not so much for me, but for my parents and people I know. But the whole thing is just, it's absolutely bizarre, and we never thought it would come to this. Perhaps the only good thing that's come out of this national lockdown is that I won't have any guests over to take my beer and my burgers. So, more beer and burgers for me. But anyway, guys, before I continue, let me say that I wish you the best of health, and I hope that you keep well and safe. Again, the best of health for you and your family. So Bitcoin has had a tremendous drop, as you probably saw in the last few weeks. You may remember the last couple of videos I published a few weeks ago. I said that because Bitcoin has broken a key level of support and the trend line, that I was going to get out of Bitcoin. I am out. And in case you're wondering why I am out, I explained this in my video on the 28th of February. So I showed you this chart, and here's what I said back then. I said, if Bitcoin breaks support, I'm out due to increased downside risk. So I drew the line in the sand. As you can see there, that was my line in the sand right there, 8,300, and the trend line. So the trend line and the 8,300 support essentially was my stop loss. And in that video, I said, look, if Bitcoin breaks that level, that's it. I don't care. I'm out. And as a matter of fact, a lot of you commented that that was probably the right move, because very soon afterwards, after Bitcoin broke that support level, it dropped quite tremendously. It actually went down to the level that we mentioned in the previous video, because in my previous video, I also said it could drop down to the weekly 200 moving average, the green line on my chart. And as you can see there, we actually hit that level, we went below it temporarily, and now we're back above it again. So you could say Bitcoin is at the moment just holding above that 200 weekly moving average, which is actually a good thing. It shows that bulls for the moment are in control. So let's hope that Bitcoin remains above that level, at 200 weekly moving average there. The other important thing I want to mention is one thing we found out from the recent crash in the markets and in Bitcoin is that one major theory that people had about Bitcoin is now proven to be false. You may remember over a year ago, I think I was in America at the time, I published a video. In that video that I published over a year ago, I said that if the market crashes, the stock market crashes, very likely Bitcoin will crash with it. In other words, the markets will drag Bitcoin down with it.
That is unfortunately bad news for Bitcoin as well, which means this: if the bear market in stocks leads to an economic recession, that means, when you think about it, that most individuals are probably going to be laid off work, unemployment rises as companies begin to fail. And just think about it for a second. What do most people do when they're out of work? They suddenly find themselves in survival mode. They have to find cash to survive, to pay the bills, to pay the rent and mortgage. And that means, unfortunately, as a result, they start looking for ways to find cash or to raise cash. For example, their gold assets, and I think perhaps in the next bear market that leads to a recession, perhaps they might start spending their Bitcoin, converting their Bitcoin into cash. And if you don't believe me, just put yourself in the same situation. Imagine putting yourself into a situation, the shoes of somebody who's just been laid off work, and he has to pay their bills, their rent and mortgage. What is that person more likely to do? Start buying more Bitcoin, or actually converting some of the money he has in his Bitcoin wallet into cash to survive?
Now, that theory has unfortunately been proven to be correct. So that prediction I made over a year ago has proven to be correct, as we can see from the recent drop in Bitcoin. Because here's the thing, guys, if it was really true that Bitcoin is a safe haven in times of crisis or in terms of a market crash, Bitcoin should have gone up to 20,000 by now, at the very least 16,000 or 20,000. As the stock markets crashed, so did Bitcoin. In fact, we can see a high correlation between the stock markets and with Bitcoin peaking and troughing pretty much at about the same levels and periods. So this really goes a long way to showing that we really should take with a pinch of salt whenever somebody says that Bitcoin or any market is a safe haven, because even gold dropped with the stock markets. This goes to show what I've been saying all along, which is that in times of crisis, in times of uncertainty, all markets get sold. Not just Bitcoin, but also gold, as we saw. Probably the only market that benefited was the US dollar. The US dollar surged higher, as we saw. So anyway, guys, what that means is that if the recession actually starts, and we don't know if it's going to start, at the moment speculation, but if a recession truly starts in the next year or so, and if the stock market continues to drop further, and again, that's an if, we don't know that, but if indeed the recession begins and if the stock markets continue into prolonged bear market, that could be disastrous and devastating for Bitcoin. Because as you've just seen, Bitcoin is highly correlated with stock markets, so a market drop could drag down Bitcoin further down with it. All right, guys, just to let you know that this week I spoke with Dominic Frisby, the author of the book Bitcoin: Future of Money, and we did an hour and a half webinar, an hour and 15 minutes webinar actually, on Bitcoin and also Ethereum and also stock markets, gold, and some of the currencies. So go ahead and watch the replay of that video. So you can become a member today on that link, and I'll see you guys in the next video update. Cheers. Bye for now.
We overruled our own decision, and we stayed long. So that's what we did. So it would have been, maybe in the 5,000s or a low 6,000. So, I'm pretty bullish about Bitcoin, and everyone should own some, just because the potential of the thing is so enormous that you just have to own some, because even at today's prices, you just have to own some.